Okay, so then we've got our list of members. So now they've got this big list. My sample size is small for this one. We have a big list of people now. We have to manage this, when the letters are sent, how frequently they're sent, over what time frame. So
Okay.
we've got this custom recruitment tab in here.
Okay.
So we define when we want this recruitment campaign to start. So this would be the date of the first batch of letters to go out.
Okay.
And what they have is they have an initial letter that goes out, and if you don't respond to that letter, then another one goes out. So
Okay.
they define when to start the first batch of letters, and then they define when to start the reminder letters. So it's
Okay.
usually like, 3 or 4 weeks in between the two time periods,
Right.
time frames.
Right.
They define the number of weeks that they want to spread out the mailings.
Okay.
So based on the total number of people on the marketing list,
Right.
they wanted the capability to define over what time period it should go. So it
Okay.
could be 4 weeks, it could be 6, 8 weeks, whatever.
Okay.
Okay. They're going to, we talked about, they have the ability to either export letters, so there's a mail merge actually in the system in CRM, so it produces individual letter files,
Okay.
and they send them out, or they want an address list.
Okay.
Right? So they can generate just the address list too. If they're going to send a letter, then they need to define what the letter template name is, so then the system can go find it and do the
Okay.
and produce the letters.
Okay.
And then if there's they have the opportunity to use a different template for reminders.
Okay.
Right? It might say you've received whatever, just follow. Whatever.
Oh.
Okay, so then once they define this criteria, they can generate two things. They can generate a preview to see what that distribution over 4 weeks would look like.
Okay.
So they might say, well, I'm not quite sure whether 4 weeks is enough, or it's too much, too little, whatever. So they can generate the preview. The system will tell them how it's going to be distributed for each target area, which is regional.
Okay.
So if we expand this out, this is what they would get. This report would be generated. So it would show them that for the Okanagan, there's 3 recipients, so there's 3 weeks of mailings, and those people could and put in each week,
Okay.
so they're evenly distributed.
Okay.
So they can check that. Once they're satisfied with the preview, like they're
Yes.
happy with the distribution, then they can go ahead and generate schedules. And what that does is it creates the weeks. If we go down here. So these are the scheduled target areas. So what it does is the system takes the big batch of recipients and it puts them into, for each region, a weekly record file basically. So then every week when the process runs, it goes through and it grabs every week 1 for every region and creates a master list
Okay.
for distribution, where it creates the letters for everybody.
Right.
And then it goes through and does it for week 2, and then it does it for week.
Okay.
So it's just a way that they
Create
would
those
organize
letters and
the big list into.
creates those letters and spits it out right away. The letters.
Yeah.
For all the weeks.
No, just 1 week at a time.
Okay. So you'd have
So
to
that's
come
why
in
it's
each.
organized into individual records.
Okay, and you'd have to come in each time and then print the letters for that.
No, so the system will. So you say I want it to start on this date. The
Right.
system will start on that date, produce week 1, and then exactly 7 days later it will produce week 2 and week 3. So all that they
It's
have
not
to
going to
do.
automatically send to the printer.
No. It just creates the files. It just dumps them in a network file somewhere, and then they can just go pick them up when they're ready to distribute.
Oh, so they have to know to monitor
Yeah.
that folder location.
Yeah.
Okay.
They define when it starts, how frequently it runs, and
Right.
that's all the process that they need to do.
Okay. Good.
Okay, so once the recruitment campaign's set up, then they just have to pick up the files every week and send them out.
Okay.
So that's the recruitment.
Mhm.
Okay. So for what we just talked about in terms of
We've been going for 48 minutes.
Okay, so there's some settings that they set up in the system so that the whole recruitment process and customization can work, right?
Right. So this is hopefully a one-time setup.
This is a one-time setup. So we just talked about the file path or the folder, that network folder that files get dumped in.
Yes.
So they have to come through and define that here.
Okay.
So they define the output path for recruitment, for breast screening, and they define the path for retention or the recall files, right?
Okay.
They define the folder where the templates sit, so the system knows where to go look at that template.
Okay.
And they can easily they manage their templates in Word and they store the file, and then the system can use it.
Okay.
So they can change the template whenever they want.
Okay. Now I do notice that this is hard-coded for the program itself. So
Yes. So they can.
So if I was to go in and add a couple more programs into that pick list, I couldn't just.
You'd have to change this.
We'd have to change this one.
Yeah,
this
change this one.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So it is specifically
We had to
set
build it
for
outside
that.
because the mail merge functionality in CRM was not rich enough.
Right.
It's too manual.
And the fact that the programs are like that and the application settings like that, what are the implications then for applying this program to this customized CRM solution?
So that application settings entity would need to be customized for every implementation.
For every implementation. Okay.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about recall.
Okay.
So we've got our database of patients here,
Yes.
and we track their last screening date.
Right.
And we know how old they are. We know they're clinically eligible, and we know that
We set up our
they've opted in,
alerts.
right? So now we want to manage recalling people on a regular basis using some roles and parameters, right? So we've got what we call recall policies in here.
And this is different than the initial mailing list that we produced.
Yes, and that was the recruitment. So that's a one-time, I'm going to recruit everybody that's never been to screening or hasn't been in the last 5 years.
Okay, so when we built those marketing lists, the query that generated those lists were specific to people that were first time.
Yeah.
First time callers? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
First time callers, long time
Yes.
listeners.
Or had been gone for a period of time and you should be
Okay.
re-invited to the program.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we wrap this one up in 10 minutes here if our recording is going to... Do you think we can do it?
Yes, I believe we can do it. Okay, so recall is really straightforward.
Yes.
They come in and they define the policies of how frequently that they recall people.
Right.
So for breast screening for BC, and this is where I said, we talked earlier about how this solution, we can't just take it and pop it in another organization,
Okay.
because there's things like this that are really customized to BC Cancer Agency, the breast screening program, and their policies.
Right.
So these policies with this form would look totally different, and the fields would be different depending on what their policies for screening were, how they were, why they were recalling the person, how often they were, or why, right?
And I see in the left now, I see we've got, breast cancer screening, cervical cancer.
Yeah.
What about colon? It's not there.
Colon's an early pilot program. They are
Okay.
only at this point recruiting. They have not been running long enough to recall people.
Okay.
So they don't even know what the recall policies are.
And this would have to be customized then to
Yeah,
add
so you
those.
create a custom entity for the policies and the settings and then
Okay.
the form of
And then the same is applicable if there was other programs for an organization that wanted to put programs other than mammography, cervical, and colon.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the customizations in behind would need to be updated as well.
Okay. Gotcha.
So let's just look at this for a quick example. So breast screening bases their recall first on age.
Right?
So depending what age bracket you fall into, how frequently you are screened changes.
Okay.
So here's where we define that anybody between the ages of 40 and 49.
Right.
So the system goes out and looks for people between this age.
Right.
they should be recalled. Their policy is that they're screened every 12 months,
Okay.
right? So in order to meet that 12-month mark, they recall them at 42 weeks, which is just slightly before the 12 months.
Right. Okay.
6 weeks ahead of that. And then if they don't respond to that first letter, they're going to send another letter at 46 weeks.
Okay.
Right? And they're going to use template letter code A and B.
I'm not sure what that means to call letters.
So what the program does is every week the system goes, CRM goes through and it finds everybody that matches these policies.
Yes.
And it creates a list.
Right.
Okay, so the CRM goes through and it looks at these policies and then it goes and finds everybody that matches the policy.
Okay.
And then it generates a file of all those people names, addresses, and then the letter template code.
Okay.
That's in there
Gotcha.
in the policy. And then that file's generated, encrypted, and it's sent to a third party for distribution.
Okay.
Okay? So this is where they define the policies,
Yeah.
and then they define the settings. So this is the schedule of when the system needs to run the process. So it's going to run every Sunday at 3 a.m. It's going to go through, it's going to take those policies, find the people that match the policies, create the file.
And it will notify the person that you've identified there via email that it's been done. An
Yes.
email notification
Yes.
recipient.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay, for cervical, same thing, only the policies are different. So they base it on the, so this follow-up reason comes from the clinical information system.
Yes.
So if this is the reason, there's usually a date specified, so you just look for that specified date,
Right.
and then generate a file or a letter using this
So this,
template code.
the follow-up reason, this is coming from the data warehouse information.
Yeah.
So our pick list needs to be mapped to,
Yes.
to this.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's based on that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay. Good. And the same thing
And then
with
the
its
settings are the same. It's running once a month on the first of the month, and
Right.
they can specify a time if they'd like it to.
Right. And if they don't specify a time?
No, sorry, they do have
They
to
have to
specify.
Yeah, I saw that. It could be a screen redraw issued because of recording.
Okay.
Sure.
So that's it.
Okay. Oh, good. So wasn't that easy?